Another day, another Last of Us 2 video. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have every possible ending leaks combined in one place, and we're gonna talk about each ending, which one makes sense, which one doesn't, all of the leaks that kind of supports it or not. So you don't have to go anywhere because I've compiled them, all of that good stuff here for your viewing pleasure. That, when you say it out loud, doesn't sound right, but you know what? Without wasting any more time, let us begin. Alright, we're gonna start off with the weaker ones, and then we're gonna move our way upwards to the one that makes most sense. So you know what, a couple of days ago when I made a video on the leaks for The Last of Us Part 2, all of them presented their own way of the ending because nobody's technically sure about how the ending plays out. Some people claim, the playtesters claim it is happening in this way, some others claims that it happens that way. We have to make sure that whatever we've seen in the leak footage and whatever we've seen in the story trailer actually aligns with that and makes more sense, not the story wise but the pattern wise, the timeline wise. We're not saying this is a good ending or a bad ending, but we're just repeating ourselves here, so we're gonna move on. So the number 5th ending that I put him in the list is Ellie kills Abby and then the morning happens. Now we might be wondering what, that doesn't make any sense. Now this ending personally could end up being happening. So in one of the endings, I'm gonna put the source up here as well. You can see here, we then cut back to Abby as she and Lev are searching for fireflies in the neighborhood. Abby begins searching the house to house in the neighborhood for signs of fireflies. As she opens the closet in the room, Ellie jumps out and on top of her and begins repeatedly stabbing her in the neck with a knife. This kind of matches with the story trailer, but you might still be wondering, why did you put it at number 5? Because I didn't have any place to put it, because there's a better one that explains this further. But anyways, the control then switches to Ellie and the player must smash square to knife Abby in the throat repeatedly. Lev bursts in and threatens to kill Ellie before giving up and asking her to just go. The game ends with Ellie standing outside the porch covered in blood, soaking in the sun, and realizing her vengeance didn't make her happy, only empty. Now this one could end up being happening, but this is The Last of Us 2 we're talking about. There must be a big reason. Nothing here in this world is fun or happy ending. Just look at Neil Druckmann or Naughty Dog's repeated pattern of history, but at the same time, this is The Last of Us 2 we're talking about. If leaks are anything to go by, this leak right here is the best case scenario, and we're still unsure if this is true or not. But this one, I would rate probably 6 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10. Not because Ellie kills Abby, but because there's just no substance to go for or to or afterwards. Because all the leakers are claiming this to set up for a part 3, and it kind of sort of makes sense as well. Because why would Sony opt out or leave any chance to get more out of this franchise? This is one of the most popular franchises for Sony. They want to milk it as much as possible. So you know what? 7 out of 10. Good ending theory, but it is alright. At number 4, this is probably the weaker one, but we're just gonna still do something about it. I've actually talked about this in one of the videos. All these endings, I've actually covered them in more detail, so you can check that out. Now, the number 4th one is actually talking about this one. The epilogue ends with Ellie finding the remaining members of the Fireflies. A familiar face from the Fireflies return. This will make you question everything. Ugh, this kind of sparkled the whole talk about the familiar face. We're gonna keep on going. The game ends with a Seraphite killing DINA. This is a cycle of violence that never ends. So some people claim that DINA lives, some people claim DINA doesn't survive, but this is the cycle of violence that never ends. I personally find this the most weakest theory out of them all. Maybe if this final point hadn't been in there, I would have said probably 7 out of 10. But with that Seraphite killing DINA, I would probably rate it 4 out of 10. But since this is The Last of Us 2 we're talking about, this could end up being happening. Do let me know, how do you rate all these leaks? Alright, at number 3, we have the first ever leak that kind of sparkled the whole controversy to begin with. Now we know one of the main controversies we have with The Last of Us 2 story. Listen, just check the trailers again in 4K full HD. The game looks fantastic. The combat is clean. The animations that moves from gameplay to the animations to cutscenes, it is unbelievably smooth. Makes you want to watch it over and over again. The facial animations are on point. There is no takeaway from that. We are not taking away from that, and it's probably gonna be the game of the year for those specific reasons, for the combat, for the gameplay, for the graphics specifically. I said this before, had Naughty Dog waited it a little bit more, this could have easily been the showcase, the main PlayStation 5 exclusive. But you know what? Number 3, we've had this controversy before as well, and then it kind of sparkled down a little bit, but at the beginning it was too much that we play as Abby for half of the game, which came out to be untrue from a ton of sources. But the main point here is that the first leak said once you starts to play as Abby, you end the game with Abby killing Ellie and the cycle of violence continues. Now, there could be some truth to that. I'm not totally taking this out from everything, but on the 4chan, which was the first leak, and the Reset Era thread still has this on their website. The ending is Ellie and Abby fighting to death. You kill Ellie as Abby and she leaves while realizing she's not really won in any meaningful way, since all she's done is get more of her loved ones killed for the sake of her killing Joel, and then Ellie ending this cycle of revenge, with the loose implication Ellie's friends will hunt Abby now in return. Now, if you hear the documentaries and director's commentary, you would kind of like see, they say, are we sure about this one? But the reason I put this at number 3, not in the lower list, is because judging from everything that has happened, this could end up being true. And most importantly, that it was one of the few. And the first leaks, most of its content has appeared to be true, but some of them aren't. That's why I'm gonna tell you to take all of this with pure grain of salt. Now, how much do I rate this? I would probably say 7.1 out of 10 because it has some substance to it, and we have a history back to back with how these things work in The Last of Us, and most importantly in this story with Ellie, because we can see the leaks and the leaked gameplay footage. This is not just story about Ellie. This is not a story for Joel at all. Joel in here is like the NPC that nobody cares about, except he is the only player that people cared about in the first game. What a change of event, what a turn of events. That's where the controversy begins. But of course, if you look at these leaks, you would probably get upset. But you know what, we're gonna keep on going for number 2. And this is something I kind of getting behind, and this is something I'm kind of rooting for. At number 2, we have ending in flashback with Joel. Now, you could call it flashback, you could call them visions, but we know it's kind of confirmed at this point that ever since Joel's golf club session with Abby in the first few chapters, that's messed up. At least give him few chapters, but no, in the early few chapters, after his golf club session, something's going to happen, and Ellie will not forget that scene. How could she? Come on. Some sources even say that till the end, she would never forget what has happened. It will bother her over and over again. This will be a conflict to watch and experience, because the conflict of losing Joel like that, and the conflict of how could Joel have lied to me? What was his intentions? Not getting the answers and all of that good stuff. Man, there's a genuine story. You could have done it right, but you know what? I'm gonna keep myself to myself. But anyways, this was the second 4chan leak that, like I said, a lot of it is we don't know where it's at. Out of 21 pages, we only got 5 from 1789 to 2021, so that kind of covers the ending as well. So in this source, they claim this. In a final flashback continued from the prologue, Joel is teaching a young Ellie on the guitar as they sit on the porch. Ellie states that she worries that the tranquil life cannot last. The tranquil is in the prologue, by the way. That's where they mention. Ellie states that she worries that tranquil life cannot last and asks how he copes with the actions they may have to take. Joel recounts a story before the outbreak in which Sarah had given some money to a vagabond in town against his wishes. He states that the story is of little significance, but that he wishes to live up to the expectations of Sarah's innocence. Come on, y'all, you can't tell me that that's not emotional. You can't tell me that. Ellie wonders aloud if she could do the same, to which Joel replies matter-of-factly that she has, and that he regrets his earlier statement to her that she was not his daughter. Men, real men, cries when Joel is gonna accidentally call Ellie Sarah. Ooh, I can already feel the emotions. I can't. Anyways, Joel plays the guitar as Ellie sings the song or the closeout, and credits. This would probably be the emotional ending I would have experienced and witnessed, and it's something I'm personally rooting for. So you know what, just for the sake of it, I'm gonna give this ending a solid 8 out of 10, because I kind of see it happening, just leaving it ambiguous, not even knowing where is Ellie headed towards just after the death of any member or anything. We just end in the flashback. This happens, they do the singing, and that's where you roll the credits. But number 1, the final one, which I probably think is gonna end up being happening, is the big reveal of Fireflies working with Ellie to kill Abby, and now Ellie may or may not end them, or maybe side with them, and at the end, her riding to the Saint Medical Center in the morning with the credits being rolled. Let me read the sentence for you if you don't know where you're at. After killing Abby, it is revealed through a flashback that the men who rescued shoot Ellie were fireflies. They have been searching for Ellie ever since they heard the wolves were looking for the immune girl who escaped from the fireflies. Ellie recognizes the man as Marlene's husband. Maybe not that part. Okay, maybe not that part is solid. Aaron. Freaking Aaron. After they get medical attention, they are transported back to Jackson with the fireflies. It is then revealed. After Ellie left, she asked that Aaron help her lure Abby to her death. In exchange, Ellie allows them to perform whatever surgeries may be necessary to create a cure. The fireflies agrees and plant a firefly agent that routinely takes a route through Seattle in the hopes of passing Abby and left. They then tell Ellie that if the plan works, she is to travel St. Francis Medical Center in Santa Barbara. After 2 months, they manage to find Abby and give her a tip about fireflies being spotted in a local neighborhood not far from there. Abby gives him a pistol for this information, and her and Lev depart to find the fireflies. After Abby is killed, Ellie is shown getting up and riding out of the Seattle, implying she's riding towards the hospital and leaving opening the possibility for a part 3. This probably sounds more legit. Even if it's not true, it is a good fan fiction and something I would have personally gone for too if I want The Last of Us Part 3, that is. But I would give this one a 9 out of 10. No one is getting 10 out of 10 because all these endings in a way kind of sucks with Abby, but you know what? It is what it is. But what do you think, boys? If you believe any of the endings at all, or if you don't at all, do let me know down in the comments below and give your rating to all these 5 endings out of 10. I will look out for those comments. We have a Joel video coming soon and an Abby video coming soon, so stay tuned and smash subscribe right now. 30k, we're getting stronger out here, boys, and I'll see you on the flip side.